Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button as well. If you are on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so you can, of course, be notified for shows like this one in the future. If you go ahead and hit that notification bell,
ding.
so thank you. So you can be notified again for our shows and as well with Twitter. Check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish and as well with my personal page at X underscore Williams 81. And I went ahead and retweeted that. So we're good to go on that. And with that being said, before we get into, of course, our week 5 recap show, I want to ask my co-host and my brother here how he's been doing this past week.
Making it, bro. I noticed you called it Twitter instead of X. So,
I mean, I've honestly been calling it everything except for what it's supposed to be called. Twitter, tweet, this, that, and the third. Anytime I call it X, I don't want nobody to think I'm being egotistical. So I'm just trying to be humble out here in these streets.
okay, I respect that. I respect that.
When you start having kids, you start having different perspective on life and things of that nature. You know how that go.
Yeah, I got you. How are things going over there?
Hey, just surviving. 2 babies under 2. Just trying to get every day taken care of and try to get on with the next one. That's all.
Yes, sir.
But I know people ain't come here to watch our show to talk about our babies. So let's go ahead and get right into the thick of things. Let's go ahead and pick up where the Cowboys left off on Sunday, and of course, any other game we probably would recap on instead of going right to Sunday Night Football. But we kind of have to start off with this one. Ish, I don't know about you, but I expected this to be a little more competitive than the final score. Not so much because of the talent, as Micah Parsons talked about, that's on the field for both sides of the ball, but mainly this was the Cowboys' litmus test. I feel like this was the test for this season to see if that defense was as good as it is on paper, to see if this offense can be what it needs to be a Super Bowl caliber type of offense. And unfortunately, after week 5, if I'm a Cowboys fan, it looks like all those questions might have been answered. Now, again, it's early in the season, and we know how things look after the second half of the season, and this, that, and third. But last time I checked this, as long as we've been doing this show and as long as Kyle Shanahan has been in charge of the 49ers, they have always been a second-half team. And if they are already clicking on all cylinders right now in week 5, and if Micah Parsons and the Cowboys think that they can trip these guys up later on in the season because, we're going to run into each other again, I need whatever Micah Parsons is smoking, because it must be some good high-grade, multi-million-dollar shit that he is smoking that I have no way of touching, because anybody with a football mindset, I know Micah Parsons is quick to talk about how nobody else knows football except for him. But last time I checked, the 49ers get better with age. They get better with time. They are not going to go backwards. The only thing that's stopping them is a Brock Purdy injury. Other than that, no. The Cowboys are not beating the 49ers in San Francisco, in Arlington, on the moon, on Madden, under the sea with Ariel and the King Neptune, with I don't know who you want to keep on naming. It ain't happening. Okay, so for right now, if I'm the Cowboys, this needs to be a wake up call. You need to figure out what do we need to do to take care of the business we need to take care of within our division first. We need to stop worrying about other NFC teams, and need to stop worrying about we go into the Super Bowl, because right now you're not going to get past the Eagles. So you need to worry about your division first instead of worrying about the 49ers and the shirt that George Kittle is wearing and any of the other things that the 49ers did. Obviously, it got to y'all, because that's the only thing y'all talking about after this game is, George Kittle, he made it personal. He wore the fuck Dallas shirt, so he made it personal. We're going to see him next time. Why you didn't see him on Sunday? You had him on Sunday. You could have saw him then. You didn't do anything. So I'm gonna pass it off to you, Ish. I would love to hear what you have to say on this because I watched this whole game and it's no way in hell for me to look at the Cowboys and say, oh yeah, they're ready to play against the 49ers. Week 1 of the playoffs or week 2.
So I have a number of problems with this game. Like you said this is supposed to be, this should be a wake up call for Dallas. My problem with that is they should have had a wake up call when they lost to Arizona. When they lost to Arizona, that should have been the wake up call. They should have bounced back. It should have been all business. Not to mention, this is a team that's had your number for the past couple of years. So you're getting mad about a shirt when they just keep beating you over and over again. You should worry less about what they're saying or what kind of shirt they're wearing or any of that, and you should worry about beating this team. I mean, this game wasn't just hey, we lost to a better team. This was a beating. Like, they just plain beat this team down. Outgained them 421 to 197 in total offense. You didn't even break 200 yards total offense, okay? Dak Prescott threw for 3 interceptions again. Like, against the top of the NFC, Dak Prescott just does not know how to play. It again brings back the conversation of, is he the right guy for this team? Is he the right guy to carry the Cowboys to the promised land? And I mean, after Sunday, no, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not seeing the improvement when it comes to playing games that matter against teams that matter. Now, luckily for them, it's early in the season. It's not the postseason. You get a chance to continue to grow, continue to learn, and maybe you do get a chance to see the San Francisco team again. But right now, that should be the last of your concern. What you need to be concerned about is going out there and being able to execute the opponent that's in front of you. So I'm hoping to see the rest of this season, Dallas just do their jobs, because it's clear and obvious at times they just don't go in there focused and ready to do their job. Like, it's a repeat of Arizona again. And it's just one of those situations where you watch them and you're confused because you have these performances where you look like you are part of the cream of the crop of the NFC East, the NFC in general. And then you have a performance like Sunday night where I'm just looking at them and I'm like, what is this team doing? Do they need to just get rid of some of these players? There's talk about whether CeeDee Lamb should get more balls thrown to him. Like, let's not start this early in the season, Dallas. Normally we wait till the postseason for y'all to start this nonsense. Let's just please, focus up and at least try.
I thought it was just
better.
to piggyback on what you're saying when it comes to the CeeDee Lamb reception conversation, the rebuttal that Jerry Jones had when it comes to he thought no that we need to continue to keep passing around the yard. And I don't know if you saw this on social media, but I didn't see it during the game. I actually saw it on social media. But apparently throughout the game, CeeDee Lamb was very distant amongst everybody on the team. I mean, literally on opposite sides of the sideline from Dak Prescott. Now, again, I'm not speculating anything, any locker room issues or anything like that, but I mean, that's very telling to have CeeDee Lamb just, I wouldn't say doing his own thing, but just emotionally not in the game. I know a guy like Stephon Diggs gets a lot of flack for being emotional and all that stuff like that, but at least he's there. He wants to win, and he's right in Josh Allen's face, and he's this and he's that. I'd rather if I'm a quarterback, I'd rather a guy like that wants to showing me that he wants to win instead of somebody that just wants to be distant and not be a part of the team. Now, look, I understand. As a wide receiver, I've been a part of both. I've been a part where I've been on offense where they were just so bad. I don't want nothing to do with you guys. Like, I really don't want. I don't want to catch the crappiness that y'all are putting on the field. So I don't want to be a part of that. And then there's times where you have to light a fire under certain quarterbacks' asses because if you don't do it, they won't do it themselves. So when you finally light a fire under their asses, they finally play the way that they should, and you keep on moving. But this situation, and that's why I want to have this game be the first topic that we talked about, because a lot is unraveled from this game, and it's just very interesting because we all knew going into this game that this wasn't just another game. It was not, right? Like you said, the 49ers had this team for the last 2 years in the playoffs. I saw a lot of Cowboys fans talking about on social media about how, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row in the playoffs. Like, if the Cowboys, sooner or later, they're going to get the 49ers, right? It ain't going to be sooner. I mean, by the way that this is going on, and let's be real, Ish, too. This is what, year 3 now, Mike McCarthy being the head coach of the Cowboys, and it went by pretty fast. So we're still getting the same results, no solutions. And the Cowboys are going to find a way to either make the playoffs, lose in the first round, or just not make the playoffs, period. And then Jerry Jones is going to have to go find another coach. And the Cowboys are going to have to figure it out once again, because Dak is not the guy. He's a great person off the field. He's all of this, and Walter Payton Man of the Year and all of the crap. All this stuff cannot save you from what you do or do not do on the field. I get tired of hearing about, you need to stop being so mean to guys like J.J. Watt or Lamar Jackson or this person or that person because all they do off the field. I don't give a damn, okay? You could be Jesus off the field. If you ain't Tim Tebow, if you ain't producing on the field, your ass ain't going to be on the field, okay? Tim Tebow is a great person on and off the field. But guess what? If your ass can't produce, your ass will not be on the field. So with that being said, I want to finish it up with this. Dallas Cowboys schedule this upcoming Monday, because unfortunately we got to see them again on prime time. They play the LA Chargers. Who's the LA Chargers offense coordinator? Oh yeah, I forgot. Kellen Moore, the former offense coordinator for the Cowboys, and I'm pretty sure he's dialing up all the plays to make the Cowboys defense look real stupid. So if I'm a betting man, I'll go ahead and put money on the Chargers because I expect them to win that game. After that, they play the Rams. The Rams are not a pushover at this moment. The Rams coming into the season, we didn't know what the hell was going on with the Rams. But the Rams look like they could be a decent contender maybe in the NFC, and that game at the moment could maybe be a toss-up. Week after that, they go to Philadelphia and they play the Eagles.
That is a great three-game stretch right there.
Make it or break it, right, bro. This next 3 games for the Cowboys, it can go ugly real quick, or they can maybe hopefully build some type of momentum from this 3-game stretch, because they better hope they go 1-2. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it right now, Ish, because they realistically lose to the Chargers and the Eagles, and I, obviously look up and beat the Rams. They could go 0-3 before going into these 3 games. A lot of people maybe thought they could go 3-0, but right now they'll be lucky to go 1-2. In my opinion. Let's get to the comment section first, and I'll let you finish it off. We'll move on to the next topic. Fracture One says being distant is a troubling sight for that offense. Hell for the team. They need to fix whatever is going on, or Lamb will be playing somewhere else. And none of that crap about him not being a number 1 wideout. They not treating him like one. I like that comment. Fracture also says looks like its prediction is gonna come true.
Hey, I mean, Dallas is they're finding a way to throw it all away, if we're just being honest.
All right, you want to finish it up before we get on out of here with the next?
I mean, no. I mean, the biggest thing to look at is obviously how is Dak and this offense going to be able to perform moving forward. Micah Parsons and this defense, they're going to have their moments. They're going to be able to step up, especially against some of the middle of the road competition in NFL. It's really a question of, can Dak Prescott and this offense put all the pieces together to be able to compete when it comes time to compete in the playoffs?
Pretty much. Appreciate you for finishing off there. Let's go ahead and move on to the Jets and Broncos. Yes, an ugly game amongst each other. The toilet bowl, the Hackett Bowl, whatever bowl you want to call it. This one was the old-fashioned Notre Dame win one for the Gipper. Aaron Rodgers and the crew wanted to make sure that they won this game for Nathaniel Hackett, which they were able to do. But is this just false hope for the Jets? They are 2-3 at the moment. Without Aaron Rodgers, they are obviously a completely different team. They are nowhere near a Super Bowl team. And I was thinking about this on Sunday when it comes to just watching them. Remember, we went into the season having Super Bowl aspirations for this team, thinking that not just because of A-Rod, but because of the defense of the Jets, that they would be in contention to maybe make a Super Bowl run. I don't know. Right now, Ish, after 5 weeks, I don't see it at all. I mean, they'll be lucky to even win the division, right? Because of the way that the Bills and the Dolphins are playing at this moment. But Super Bowl contending team, no, not at all. I will say Zach Wilson obviously played a little bit better in this game. Obviously turned the ball over once again, but you managed the game. You weren't the reason why they lost the game. And that's what the Jets are asking for Zach Wilson to do to maintain this ship and make sure that it doesn't sink. On the other side of the ball, though, for a guy like Russell Wilson, it kind of reminds me of what's going on the East Coast with Lamar Jackson and Baltimore, to where Russell Wilson's numbers wise are actually pretty damn good. They're not horrible at all. It's just obviously the record itself is what quarterbacks also get judged on. And when the Broncos are 1-4, everybody's quick to look at Russ. But again, if you look at the numbers, they're actually not too bad. It's the defense that's been getting gutted since week one. And the Broncos are in a position right now to where they are, it seems like, might be having a fire sale on maybe both sides of the ball. And if that is the case, Ish, I'll throw this to you. If they are having a fire sale, are we chalking this season up and we're getting ready for next season? I mean, what's going on here to where the Broncos are pretty much just saying, hey, it looks like we might be done for this season?
There's a number of things going on in Denver. And I love that you brought up Lamar in the situation that's going on in Baltimore to kind of compare it with Russell, because like you said, both of them, their numbers aren't horrible, but there are questions about whether or not they are I guess there are questions about whether or not they're doing their jobs, right? And I get it. Quarterbacks are judged off wins and losses, just like head coaches are judged off wins and losses. I think, though, part of the question surrounding both Lamar and Russell is not necessarily the numbers, because, like you say, you're not really a stats person. Stats can lie all the time. I think the biggest problem that people have is, as a quarterback, and not just any quarterback, but a top quarterback, you're expected to perform at a certain level in times where the game is on the line. That fumble return for a touchdown for Russell Wilson, like, while you didn't perform horribly, everybody's just going to remember that moment. That's all that people are going to see. Because as the quarterback, as especially a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a quarterback that they gave up so many assets for, that mistake is such a costly mistake in a game where you were actually there. It was there for the taking. That's why I think people are giving him a hard time. And that's why I think they're going to have no choice but to move on. But in reality, though, he's not the problem. The defense have not performed to the level that they performed last year, where we were really looking at Hackett and saying, like, oh, it's definitely Hackett's fault that this team isn't doing what they're supposed to do. Like, last year, the defense performed. This year, they are not performing. And there may be a number of reasons to explain that, but either way, that's why they are doing as poorly as they are. And you got to think, is it a situation now where, yeah, you need to just go ahead and blow it all up and start over, start from scratch? And I think part of why the organization wants to, because like we talk about it all the time, culture. There's something to be said about a culture in the locker room, and when the culture in the locker room is toxic and it's a losing culture and people don't know how to win, they don't have the right work ethic, they don't have the right attitude. Not saying that that's for sure the issue in Denver, but when you start to have that creep in, it's better to get rid of these guys than to keep them around and let that continue to eat at it. And I think that's where Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos are right now. They're trying to figure out, who are the guys that match the culture that we want and who are the guys that aren't. And that's why you're hearing all the talks about trades and everything. And yeah, I expect a lot of trades to be happening. I expect a lot of trades.
Just to piggyback off of what you talked about when it comes to the turnover at the end of the game, that pretty much sealed this game for the Jets. And like I brought up with Lamar Jackson earlier, and like you talked about when it comes to comparison, just like Lamar Jackson with that late game interception.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and again, I see a lot of social media groups when it comes to talking about all different teams. And one thing about Raven fans, they are quick to defend Lamar Jackson. And I understand because of the way the media treats him and everybody else and blah, blah, and he's a running back. I got all that. Anybody that has some type of football IQ knows good and damn well that there were 8 drops by the receivers and that Lamar Jackson probably could have had 350 yards passing with 3 touchdowns, and they probably could have won the game comfortably. But guess what? Football happens, meaning that drops happens, turnovers happens, things like that happens, no matter how talented you are. So for everybody that is a Ravens fan crying about this game, nobody's blaming Lamar Jackson. At least right here, me and Ish and I, maybe mainstream media, just to rile up some feathers and sell some papers and things of that nature. We're not sitting up here blaming Lamar Jackson. This was a team loss. Unfortunately, it's going to go on Lamar's record for showing that he has an L, but at the end of the day, it's a team's Ravens loss and to a divisional opponent who they seem to have issues with time and time again, and you move on and go to the next game. Like, that's just how I see it with that game with Lamar and also with Russell Wilson here with the Broncos. Took an L. It sucks. 1-4. Let's move on. Let's see if we can get things back up and running. It's still early in the season. I don't think the Broncos really even had a chance to make the playoffs anyways. Right now, it's really just playing for pride at this point, I would think, for these organizations. And, we'll go from there. Fresh one that says, X, did you see the video about Lamar I sent you from First Take? Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see that just yet, only because of I had to work and all that good stuff, so I was busy. But I think that video, what you sent me, I think I saw something about it when it comes to them, Stephen A. talking about, I guess, blaming Lamar for the loss and I guess
and basically asking if the Ravens are getting what they pay for with Lamar and that whole bring that whole thing up of he held out for all this money, they paid him the money, and now you're 3-2. So are they getting their money's worth?
So I'll finish it up very, very quickly and move on. So the 2 quarterbacks that I can use right quick, obviously Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott got paid, has not performed at all when it comes to the contract that they gave him. One thing that they brought up, which I didn't realize until they brought it up, Dak Prescott, since they signed the contract, has 0 Pro Bowls. Not all Pro Bowls. This Pro Bowl is a popularity contest. You are the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You should be in the Pro Bowl. No excuses on that. You can't make a Pro Bowl? That's a problem. Lamar Jackson, again, for me, and I was talking to Adrian about this yesterday, it's not even about the money. It's about the Ravens changed the offensive coordinators, changed offensive scheme, brought in multiple wide receivers, the Ravens are the first team ever in NFL history to have 5 first-round wide receivers. Now, granted, OBJ's old and done with. Rashad Bateman has never shown up, and there's one more wide receiver I can't think of off the top of my head who really isn't a factor. But because of, again, the stats and the numbers, they make it look like, oh, it's so cute.
Duvernay.
Most likely. But reality is everything still looks the exact same as it has been prior. Like, nothing looks different. It doesn't look anything that, where I can look at it and say, wow, this offense has just completely transformed itself, and I believe in this Ravens offense to make the Super Bowl. It looks the exact same-ish.
It does. I mean, it looks the same. They've got the same issues over there. Now, do I think the Ravens got their money's worth? I think, yeah, because the thing that people often forget, and it's easy to criticize these teams, these players, and it's easy to say, oh, ha, 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 look, you paid this guy money, now you're 3-2, you didn't get what you paid for. But you got to think about it this way. It is so hard to find just a starting quarterback caliber player in this league that's going to help you win games consistently. If it were easy, most of the teams we talk about, being perennial losers. They wouldn't be losers every year, but it is something that is so rare that once a team finds it, an organization finds it, they often have success throughout the career of that quarterback. And the other teams that don't find that, they constantly are changing quarterbacks looking for it. So when you look at the Ravens situation, yeah, they're getting what they pay for because they have a guy that keeps them in these games. Now, whether or not you want to say, hey, he lost that game for them, that's a different story. We can have those discussions of like being clutch, winning games at the end of games or whatever is going on. But we just need to start thinking about it from a standpoint of you move on from Lamar, who you have. Who do you have? You move on from Dak, who do you have?
Obviously, Trevor Huntley. Hello.
Okay.
I'm
See,
just saying. Hey, we'll see.
no,
Hey, we didn't know. And people didn't know about Brock Purdy.
no,
I'm just saying. I mean, you never
no.
know what you got till
We,
boys get thrown out in the
we knew
fire,
about
right?
Brock pretty early on.
Fracture Wanda says what Ish just said about the QBs is the reason why I would never see Dak in another uniform. I don't agree with that though.
No, I think they will have to move on from him.
I think yes. If he does not get it done this year, I think that they move on.
They'll have to move on from him.
That's my opinion, but we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game, though. I think this game is very interesting because we go from one game talking about the Coach's Bowl to a coach who was, of course, deemed probably, depending on how you look at him, probably the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
To maybe being on a hot seat, and not just being on a hot seat. So far this season, we're just week 5. We're just into week 5. He has had 2 of the worst losses of his career in just this year. And after the shellacking that they got put on last week, now all of a sudden you host the Saints and you don't even put up a point. It's not a point. Now I know the Saints defense is good, but damn. I'll throw it over to you first because I really don't have too much to say because I'm very we're not used to this. We grew up with the Patriots actually being good. Back in the 70s and 80s, the Patriots are bad. So, if you're 60 years old, probably 70 years old, you're used to this type of Patriots. But the allure, the mystique, about this team and another team we'll talk about later on, it's not there anymore. And it seems like nobody is scared to play the Patriots at all, especially with Matthew Judon out for the year, most likely now. They have nobody. I mean, the offensive line is horrible. The wide receivers have been horrible. Mac Jones is Mac Jones. I mean, there's nothing special about Mac Jones. The defense is so bad you have to go back and go get J.C. Jackson. I mean, just think about it. Like the Patriots right now, and the only reason why the Patriots are getting an excuse is because of Bill Belichick. If it wasn't Bill Belichick, everybody be throwing all the burning spears at them as they deserve to have. But we need to have a serious conversation about Bill Belichick in his last 3 or 4 years of him being the head coach of the Patriots, especially obviously post Brady. We had these silly conversations about who was the one that was carrying this Patriots organization? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? We already saw Brady move on and go win the Super Bowl elsewhere. Not just him moving on and going to the Super Bowl. Year after that, he still had 10 plus wins, and if I'm mistaken, went back to the playoffs again, lost to the Chargers. So with that being said, not Chargers. I'm sorry, I want to say the Cowboys. So with that being said, you can't tell me that Tom Brady didn't have a part to play in how successful the Patriots were. And last time I checked, Bill Belichick has not won a ring pre-Brady or post-Brady, pretty much without Brady. He's won Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator with the Giants. I'm talking about as a head coach with a different quarterback. Can Bill Belichick go out there and win a Super Bowl? At this point in time, it's a hell no, because we already know that Bill Belichick is a mastermind in defense. He's a great person at defense. That's fine. Offensively, though, he has his struggles trying to figure out what coordinator is going to be in there to help us out to get this squared away. It seemed like Josh McDaniels was that guy. Obviously, he's moved on to the Raiders, but other than that, I mean, Belichick is used to, of course, pulling somebody from the Patriots to to sub right in. It didn't work with Matt Patricia and that stupid ass switching over defense coordinator to an offensive coordinator crap. This is not high school Pee Wee football. This is not what this is. But for whatever reason, again, we just assume because Bill Belichick is the greatest, it's going to work. No, it didn't work. So where do we go from here, Ish? Where do we go?
Oh man, that's a really good question. And if I'm just being honest, this Patriot team is just bad. They're just bad. Okay, I've seen some talk floating around about the contract that they gave Juju Smith-Schuster
Was the
versus
same as
it was the same as Jacoby Myers,
Myers.
and
Yep.
look at what Jacoby Myers been able to do
Yep.
versus what Juju did. Let me just say this, man. Even if Jacoby Myers had stayed in New England, this team is just bad. Okay,
He would not put the numbers up that he was.
he wouldn't have the numbers that he has right now. So don't try to use that as like, oh, see, y'all made the wrong decision. No, this team is bad. The coaching is bad. The scheme is bad. Like everything going around them right now is bad. Yeah, even Zappy can't save them. Okay, even Zappy can't save them. It is bad. Like just flat out bad. We need to seriously talk about Bill Belichick being done at the end of this year and Robert Kraft starting from scratch, because it's just there's nothing salvageable at the moment with this team. They are just a bad team that need to figure it out.
I want to see this comment right quick from Fracture Walnut. He says Bill got to go at least as GM because he can't draft or sign talent. Now, if you were to go look back at the last 10 drafts that Bill Belichick has been a part of when it comes to the Patriots organization, I'm just talking about just first round talent. I mean, we can look at, of course, the whole draft, but just first round talent alone, almost every first rounder, pretty much every first rounder is not on their team anymore. I thought the Titans were bad at drafting. That's the reason why J-Rob is not at the general manager anymore for the Titans. But my goodness, the Cowboys, I know we get on them all the time. I mean, if you go look at their drafts, they draft very, very well. That's one thing you cannot knock on the Cowboys. They draft well. The Patriots, for whatever reason, they just say, hey, let's just draft whoever the hell we want to draft, and we're just going to make chicken salad shit. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Because, again, for whatever reason, they just assume that they still have Brady, and we're going to throw out a 6th-round fucking receiver from Western Kentucky, and they're going to make him into an all-star. No, It's not going to happen. And that's something that I was talking again with Adrian about Bill Belichick and also Mike Tomlin. And I also go ahead and throw in John Harbaugh. And yeah, I would use those three. Are we at a point where these coaches that used to be the standard of NFL football coaching, is the NFL getting past them to where their voice in the locker room are becoming stale? That's what it's looking like. And it looks like that's the reason why a lot of these younger coaches are coming in to take place of some of these old head coaches. Is not because, quote unquote, some of the guys are racist or they're mean or they're this or they're that. It's really because a lot of y'all don't want to adapt. A lot of y'all don't want to make changes within yourselves to make your team better. And the person I want to use, the coach I want to use when it comes to not just being in contention all the time, but also being able to be a player's coach and allow his players to communicate with him within the game plan, is Andy Reid. Andy Reid consistently have been able to put his team in position to be successful every year, from the Eagles, now with the Chiefs, has won Super Bowls obviously now with the Chiefs. And
sometimes to his detriment, though.
I agree. But at the end of the day, he's a coach that you hear from players all the time, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that will say, he let us implement these plays from the playground, from elementary school across the street, from a guy that's on Twitter, from this, from that, and we throw it in there. We have fun with it. We have this, we do that. You can tell, except for maybe, LaShawn McCoy, that everybody else loves playing for Andy Reid and will die for Andy Reid, right? And that's something, to see. Bill Belichick, I'll just use one example, Asante Samuel, because he's put it out there. He's pretty much said it time and time again, Bill Belichick, he's a good coach. He ain't the greatest. We gotta stop hyping him up like he's just, God's green earth. I have some other insight that when it comes to being in New England, it's one of those places where, if I'm being honest with you, the way that the culture is there, you want to be there to win a Super Bowl. Nobody really wants to be in New England just to go and play games.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So I'll leave it at that when it comes to New England. Like you said, Ish, they are about to be on the verge of trying to flip this all over again, figure out what coach they're going to have to bring in and what players they're going to have to reassemble, because it's going to be a rebuilding mode for the Patriots for the next at least 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Greg says Mac Jones looks absolutely terrible. My goodness. He also says Belichick is the NFL version of Greg Popovich, which I don't know. I mean, I understand where you're coming from on that, but I don't know.
Maybe so.
Greg also says Zappy can't save them ish. I know, of course, you saw that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the London Jags. Of course, we skip over to the pond right quick.
You know what?
Go ahead, Ish.
I'm going to just have to jump in on this one because I'm so disappointed in myself. When we were making our picks on Sunday morning, Saturday night, because this one actually took me up to Sunday morning right before the game, and I really, really wanted to pick the London Jags. I knew it. It was in my heart of hearts. I just felt it. I was like, no. But Buffalo just came off a really strong game. They're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the Bills, honestly.
And so I thought, the offense looked good. The defense been playing well. Jacksonville's still been kind of going through it up and down as new teams with newer pieces tend to do. So I was just thinking like, maybe Buffalo should find a way to win this one. And my heart sank. Once the game started, my heart sank because I was like, I should have picked the London Jags. And I want to apologize to the London Jags because I will never do that again. I will never pick against you again in London because we know your true home is in London and you don't lose over there. So that's all I want to say.
I think the interesting thing about this game was that this was the Jaguars' second week in London.
That was another thing that made me think about that.
Now, this is the first time that this, the London series, overseas series has happened to where a team stayed the whole time. And that's something that guys like Travis Etienne talked about when it comes to they felt like they were jet lagged that first game against the Falcons. They felt like they couldn't really get into the rhythm that they wanted to get into, which again kind of disappointed me because I assumed, hey, the Jaguars going to be in London. That should be a dub. I didn't expect them to lose to the Falcons, and no disrespect to the Falcons, but it left a sour taste in my mouth. That's why I had to pick the Bills coming off of that win against the Dolphins. I'm looking at the Bills like, hey, maybe they can get something going. You go over to London, you should maybe beat the Jags because they are not playing the way that they probably should. It seems like maybe the Bills kind of maybe caught a little bit of jet lag as well too. The Jaguars took advantage of that and was able to win this game. Obviously frustration on the sideline for Stephon Diggs, trying to smash the tablet. Again, I talked about it. before the season started. Maybe Stephon Diggs isn't on this team before the season ends. I don't see it right now. I think they are fine, but it's just something going on with the Bills to where you can't play. You can't play that well against the Dolphins, who came off the week prior putting up 70 points, and then come to London and just put up 20 points and lose to a team like the Jaguars, which again, no disrespect, but if they were to meet in the playoffs, and if it's the Bills versus Jags and they're in Buffalo, I expect the Bills to win this game. So we'll see how these teams play out second half of the season and see where it goes from there. Overall, I mean, again, more of the same when it comes to the Bills. When we expect them to do something, they let us down. Sometimes they come out of nowhere like a dark horse and, surprise some folks, but more of the same. And that will segue me into more of the same for these Tennessee Titans, doing what they do best. Doing what they do best when it comes to letting folks down when everybody expects them to be what they should be when it comes to maybe taking over this division, but they decide to let Gardner Minshew win them the game for the Colts. And I'll be the first to say here, I haven't talked about it really too much on social media just yet. Unfortunately, I was wrong about Anthony Richardson. I was hoping that he was going to be a little bit smarter being in the NFL and not want to take so many hits and want to either get out of bounds or slide or just, be safe. Almost every game Anthony Richardson has been in, he has not finished the game because he's been out due to some type of injury. He's not at this point in time. He's not going to be the Colts starter in 2 years. Highly talented, has all of the skill set as you want from a quarterback. He's just not going to last. And I'll throw this out before I move on to you. The AC joint that he's suffering at this moment, AC sprain that he's suffering at this moment, he actually has already injured that same shoulder in high school. Mm-hmm. Why do I know this? Because I watched it on QB1 when I was watching him and Bryce Young in high school, and he messed up that same shoulder in high school, and his butt decided to try to get back out there and play again, even when the season was over with for his high school team. But of course, he wanted to play because he was a senior and he wanted to look out for everybody, right? If you're listening, Anthony Richardson, this is the one time where you need to be very selfish and sit your ass down somewhere and get 100% because your NFL career could be over before it even starts. And it's unfortunate for me to even say that, but it's just the truth because of the style of play that he plays at. Ish.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part from this game that really I got. I'm not surprised with the result at all because with your Tennessee Titans, you never know what you're going to get. They have become so up and down that at this point, I just pick against them, just hoping that they go ahead and lose because, I can't pick them. I can't actually, in good faith, pick them because I don't know if they're even going to show up. I rather pick against them and then they show up and it's like, oh, well, you know what? Derrick Henry did what he was supposed to do. The offense did what they were supposed to do. The defense stepped up. I'd rather that happen than for me to pick them knowing that there's a chance that they show up and just mess around, which has been the case a couple times this year already. So, and the most perplexing part, I guess, of with the Tennessee Titans is it's hard to really pinpoint what the true problem is because it's not like they're just horrible. It's just a situation of it just seems like some games they just come out really flat and then you just like there's no motivation there. And I don't know what needs to happen, who needs to talk to who, but it's one of these things where you're looking at this team, you're expecting a little bit more and you're just not getting it. With Anthony Richardson, I'm pretty sure he's already been told he needs to protect himself. Multiple people have been telling him to protect himself. He needs to, just go ahead and lose money then. Like I guess you have to lose money before you understand that you have to protect yourself. I get it. There is that you want to be a competitor, you want to fight for every yard, you want to do this, you want to do that. But at some point, you also have to be very smart about your business because you being on the field is your business. If you're not on the field, there is no business. So at some point, you have got to be smart about the business. This is a regular season game. The game wasn't even on the line when you were doing this. Like, come on, dude. Be smart.
1,000,000% agree on there. Fractuana says these little injuries are going to shorten his career, which sucks. 100%. These guys got to understand the game is so much different than college. Fractuana also said, this is going back to the Patriots topic we were talking about. He says, whoever the next coach is doesn't deserve any connection to Bill whatsoever. And then also the London game, he stated that, what I liked about this game was Allen not forcing throws and seeing instead of trying to run people over. And Josh Allen's the same as fucking Anthony Richardson. Stop doing this stupid ass shit as a quarterback. What is wrong with y'all? Anyways, Fresh One says, so with that said, is Mike Vrabel on the hot seat now?
I don't think so.
If I'm being honest with you, not at the moment. Only because of just he has a great relationship with Amy Strunk, of course, the owner of the Tennessee Titans. Also, just like Ish stated about having a reliable quarterback, it's hard as hell to have a reliable head coach as well too. So if this was a consecutive bad year, like for me, I'm not able to judge Vrabel really until we get the hell out of this Tannehill era.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get rid of Tannehill, we move on, we do whatever else we need to do and whatnot to get this offense where it needs to be, and we're still not performing the way we need to, then yes, we can look at Mike Vrabel a little sideways and go from there. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears over to black and blue. We'll go ahead and speed this up. We got a couple more minutes before we get up out of here. Of course, classic black and blue game, Ravens and Steelers. Steelers took care of this at home, 17-10. Now, before the fourth quarter, I mean, it looked like the Ravens were going to win this game. The Steelers definitely came out of nowhere and took this game that they definitely should not have won. And if we're being honest, it seems like the Steelers won this game the old-fashioned way when it comes to the defense leading the charge because the offense was not there. Ish, your thoughts on this game and these two teams?
My biggest thoughts: one, Lamar, you gotta take care of the ball. That was a big thing. I understand all the drops, but still, you gotta take care of the ball because y'all win if you don't throw that interception, most likely. The second thought that I have from this game is this Randy call that everybody's talking about, right? And Matt Canada, and then the cut to Matt Canada be up there, and he's not looking like he's happy about the audible, or he's not happy about who knows what. I want to hear from Adrian on this. I wish we had Adrian on because I want to know what the Steelers, like how Steelers fans are feeling about this situation, because it's not a game that realistically, it's not a game that you feel really good about the win. Like, yes, you always feel good about winning a game, right? But the manner in which they won the game is one of those where there's still a lot of question marks. A lot of the questions you already had weren't answered in this.
You only had 3 points going into that fourth quarter.
And so with the whole audible and Matt Canada not looking good, like, our Steelers fans, are we really sitting here and are we feeling confident moving forward, or are we still in the same spot that we were last week of get that man the hell up out of here?
Every week I get a new rant from Adrian about Matt Canada. So yes, literally from week 1 till now, I get a text message from Adrian about this is my Matt Canada rant for the week. Adrian is not a fan of Matt Canada. I'm pretty sure most Steelers fans are not. Just because, unfortunately, the way the Steelers do things, they don't fire coaches in the middle of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I mean, but right now the offense is it's ugly. It's horrible. I'm not going to continue on with this. Pickens obviously is a dog. He's been a dog since playing for the Dogs at Georgia. But they're gonna, like you said, when it comes to this team, they're gonna have to figure out something. Same thing with the I look at them, same thing with the Titans when it comes to, like, I don't know what's going on when it comes to why this isn't working, but you need to figure it out. Yep. All right. Usually we wouldn't talk about these teams because they both kind of suck, but Texas have been playing very well lately, and this is a game I really thought that they probably was going to sneak away with and win and give Desmond Ridder his first home loss. But unfortunately, we're not able to finish the job here. We have Fresh One, of course, tuning in. He's our resident Texans fan. Please, I would love to hear what you have to say about this game. Bijan Robinson doing Bijan Robinson things. Nothing really to say about that. Obviously, the Falcons' offense still not implementing Kyle Pitts for whatever reason.
He was in a little bit more.
A little bit more. I mean, my point is with the Falcons is, like, you have all these weapons here, right? I mean, I look at Drake London. I mean, he's an eye, right? I don't look at him as like a number 1 wide receiver, but you have all these weapons. I mean, why are we not utilizing these weapons? Like, 21 points against not just even the Texans, but just overall in a football game for the Falcons. I think you should minimum at least put up 25 points with this type of team. And if we're being honest, really, really honest, it seems like the reason why this Falcons offense is being held back is because of Desmond Ridder. Now, of course, we talked about this last week, and we see a lot of it on social media. Everybody's quick and quick to say, "Hey, let's just go ahead and trade Justin Fields to Atlanta, and everything will be good to go." Will it work for the Falcons? I think yes, but I don't know if the Bears right now are just willing to trade Justin Fields just to satisfy the Falcons. That's just how I see this. So I think for the Texans, I think this is a good learning experience for them. Even though they're 2-3, they're not really out of the division just yet. Next week, you do play the Saints at home. Very, very tough game. I expect the Saints to continue on with their momentum from New England into Houston. This might also be Loki could be a Saints home game just due to all the New Orleans, Louisiana folks that live in Houston that will come to this game. This will be probably a split NRG Stadium for the Saints and Texans. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Week after that, they play number 1 pick in the draft, of course, Bryce Young. So it'll be, of course, Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. We'll see how that all plays out. Week after that, play the Buccaneers. Week after that, play the Bengals. Schedule for the Texans, like I said, it's manageable. They can sneak out with a couple of, crazy wins throughout that next 4-game slate. So we'll see what happens with the Texans. Keep an eye out on them. Fresh One says O-line still needs some work. I like that they put Howard and Tunsil on the left side to protect CJ's blind side. He also said, I feel like they handcuffed offense this game, thinking they could roll over the Falcons. Ish, your thoughts on this game?
I didn't feel like they handcuffed the offense. I thought this was a really good game. The defense played out of their mind. It slowly but surely, this Houston defense is starting to turn into the defense that everybody thought they would be when
San Francisco of the South.
Yeah, San Francisco 2.0. I was talking to our resident 49er fan, my neighbor Trenton across the street about it, and I was telling him like it's a really scary situation for the rest of the league if the Texans defense can perform like this with the talent that they have right now. Imagine if they're able to go out and pick up a couple free agents to help them out. This could be a really scary defense in a year or two. Not to mention this offense, they're performing well. They did perform well this game, with the exception of they didn't put points on the board. Like in most games where you win the turnover battle, where you're able to stop a team from scoring points multiple times when they drive down the field, you expect to win that game. But this offense just could not find a way to score a touchdown. They just kept kicking field goal after field goal after field goal. And I thought to myself as I was watching, this is going to come back to bite them. And sure enough, it did. Desmond Ridder was able to find a way to drive down and score at the end of the game. And it's just one of those losses that you got to take on the nose. You take on the chin. You say, hey, we just didn't do enough on our side. But you got to be encouraged by what you saw from the Texans if you're a Texan fan. And, like Fracture Walnut said, the offensive line need work. But that's from a lot of injury. If they get people back next year and even, are able to improve through the draft, free agency, they still got a chance to make playoffs this year. But next year, I'm going to go ahead and say that's my pick for the South.
Uh-oh. Okay. We'll see what happens. So you heard it here first. A bombshell here on XtalknIsh. Let's go ahead and move on to Eagles-Rams. I liked this matchup coming into the game. I think both teams played really well. Obviously, the rookie for the Rams, Puka, out here still balling. Eagles, I felt as though did what they were going to do when it comes to take care of business in LA, even though it was one of those games where it was back and forth for the first half. The Eagles took care of business in the second half and went ahead and put the game away. Overall, though, the Eagles are 5-0. Are we on a collision course for, like we saw last year, 49ers-Eagles NFC Conference Championship game?
100%. Unless Dallas can figure it out and really decide they want to contend at the top with those two teams, 100%.
Anything else you want to say about this game before we move on?
No.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to my boys quarterback Danny Dimes and the Giants and the Dolphins. Trust me, we're not going to stay too long on this topic. Ish. The only question I have really for you, besides, it's not really about the game. It's about Daniel Jones. The amount of hits that he's taken. I know you saw the picture that I put up in the group chat. I mean, he is on pace to break sack records that people didn't think that would be broken. And not even just breaking sacks. I'm thinking about his actual body itself. I mean, could he turn into, of course, not as good of a version of Andrew Luck, but because of so many injuries, he has to retire due to not being able to stay upright ish.
I've been trying to say it since day one on of the season. I've been calling it out. Y'all been giving me a hard time. What's Danny supposed to do with these bums? I mean, when you got Evan Neal on the end of the line, he want to get mad at everybody calling him out. Bro, we could just play the clip over and over of the lookout block that you provided, where no one knows what you were looking at, and we just letting people run free to go sack the quarterback. Like, I'm sorry, but at first I was just kind of joking, just a little hyperbole, saying, what is he supposed to do with these bums? But I'm just gonna say, look at what he's dealing with. It don't matter who at quarterback in New York right now. These some bums, right? That's just straight bum action. Like, if I'm watching it, it's bum action. Y'all not doing enough to help Daniel Jones. Now, is Daniel Jones making mistakes? Is he playing to the best of his ability? No, he's not playing to the best of his ability. Yes, he's making a lot of mistakes as well. I got it. I 100% will say that. But at the same time, similar to Russell Wilson, similar to Lamar Jackson in their situations, is he the main cause for their problems? No, that defense is not playing up to standards that they should be playing. There are no skill players. The offensive line, they might as well just be letting everybody run through. So I know we don't want to stay on this too long, but New York, they have a lot that they need to figure out there. They need to get better skill
at everything, huh?
Yeah, pretty much everything. They need to get better at everything.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to a team that's pretty much better at everything except for the Giants. Kansas City Chiefs took on the Minnesota Vikings, and for me, I picked the Vikings win the game. I feel like the Vikings, this was their game to bounce back, to show everybody that we are in contention, we can find a way to bounce back to contend in the rest of the season. This season is not like last season at all for the Vikings. Last season, they were 11-0 in one-score games. This season, they are already 0-3. It seems like Justin Jefferson will be going on IR soon.
I think that's the case. Put him on there.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if I'm the Vikings, I want to go ahead and maybe listen to some trade offers for Kirk Cousins.
100%.
Because if we're not going to resign him,
they worked out Colt McCoy.
You said one more time about Colt?
The rumor is they worked out Colt McCoy today.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, and again, I think he has a good relationship with Minnesota, to where it's like, look, Minnesota, you gave me a lot of money. You helped me and my family here. We have a great relationship. We obviously know that, Kurt wants a ring. The Minnesota Vikings wants a ring. It seems like with this relationship together is not going to get us there. So let's go ahead and just move on. The question is if the Vikings were to move on and trade Kirk Cousins elsewhere, where would he go? Now, the obvious answers people will throw out would be the New York Jets, maybe the Denver Broncos. Again, maybe, I doubt that. But we're getting later and later and later into the season, to where Kirk Cousins is not going to be able to just walk in on a Tuesday, know the playbook by fucking Sunday, and have everybody ready to go by in a week 8, week 9 team that has been cohesive with one another since training camp. That's going to be the biggest, I guess, like I said, the biggest wedge amongst all of this, to try to figure out what team would be compatible for Kirk Cousins' services. Ish, you have any team in mind?
I mean, obviously, the team that everybody's looking at is the Jets, right? The problem that you have with the Jets and him going to the Jets is, what is Minnesota going to want in return for his services, right? And if you're the Jets, you have Zach Wilson, who, I mean, I don't know if you're still thinking he's the heir apparent, but up until this point, you thought he was the heir apparent behind Aaron Rodgers. He just needed to sit and learn from him, right? You have Aaron Rodgers, who, you know, they're saying he potentially could come back in the playoffs if this team can make the playoffs. So if you're bringing Kirk Cousins in, you're really just bringing him in as a stopgap until you can get back to Aaron Rodgers. You're not bringing him in as a long-term solution or even as a bridge quarterback for Zach Wilson until Zach Wilson is ready to play. So it's a situation of what is Minnesota willing to take that makes sense for the Jets? Because honestly speaking, they're the only team until we get a little bit closer to the trade deadline and start to really clear out this playoff picture. They're the one team that you're thinking playoff contention wise, or at least at the beginning of the season, we were thinking Super Bowl contention. That really needs a veteran quarterback to come in and do a job. So they're the only team, I think, and that's also going to hurt them because when you're the only team in the market, you don't really got much negotiating power now, do you? I mean, you kind of can, but I think Minnesota is going to be just fine, you know, sitting with Kirk Cousins the entire year, and then we'll figure out what happened after that.
Honestly, the only other team I can think of off the top of my head that maybe want to join in that sweepstakes, maybe Arizona, but I feel like they're tanking for Caleb, and then also maybe Tampa Bay, but I feel like they're maybe okay.
Baker,
maybe they're okay with Baker at this point. So, like again, like you said, if you're the only team that's trying to get Kurt, I mean, yeah, it's a what can you do for me type of negotiation on that part. All right, with that being said, that is it for week 5 recap. Of course, another wild week in the NFL. Pretty sure we'll have another one this upcoming week. Tennessee will be in London once again for the last of our London matchups against the Baltimore Ravens. That game will be in Tottenham, played at the stadium for the Hotspurs. So with that being said, we will join you guys on Sunday for the pregame show, and we'll see what the NFL has up its sleeve when it comes to what script they have for us. Since everybody thinks that this is scripted, we'll just go from there. We will see you guys.
Show up and perform.
You said who?
I said Taylor Swift gonna show up and perform. Maybe.
Here you go. All right, guys. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Thank you very much for tuning in to XtalknIsh. See you.